Oh.
Pete Nakos, On3 Sports, NIL, transfer portal, all over it. We appreciate him. He's joined us on quite a few occasions. What kind of weekend, Pete, did Ohio State have?
I think they had a weekend to remember, guys. I think that the weekend that Ohio State just had will be one that they remember if they make the college football playoff and contend for a national title.
Now, on your On3 rankings for the best transfer portal, they're 15th because they've only gotten 6 guys in. But the quality over the quantity of Ohio State, I think maybe only Texas and Ole Miss can match right now when you're talking about what they've done as far as guys who are going to come in and help them as soon as they hit the ground.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd say Texas, Ole Miss, Oregon, just a couple. But, man, the high that Ohio State is riding on right now is crazy. And, I mean, you look, right, they landed Will Howard and Quinshot Judkins and kind of thought to yourself, like, okay, like, those are some great pieces. Like, I'm not sure what else they can do. And then Nick Saban retired, and they just took 2 of the better roster pieces on the Tides roster.
So, Pete, what are we talking about as far as a budget goes? Is the $13 million Ryan Day throughout there what we're talking about them operating with? Kind of how have you seen that evolve and shape over the last year? Just the continued, I guess, education of NIL, universities and programs themselves figuring out like what the sweet spot is. Ohio State's clearly found that, but it took some prodding, right? And kind of where do you think Ohio State is in that whole realm of NIL and the budget they're working with?
Yeah, they definitely, this past summer, they were definitely not spending at the rate that an Ohio State should be spending at. But, man, they've really pulled it together. Now they're in that upper level, that top echelon, if you will. And, I mean, I don't know if they're at 13 yet, but they're definitely pretty darn close to 10 million from my understanding. And you look at the entire roster, and it makes sense. And all the guys that they have coming back who could have done the NFL and what they added in the portal, and then landing the top wide receiver in the 2024 class, Jeremiah Smith, who's been compared to some pretty big names. So, yeah, they have definitely evolved and emerged as one of the biggest spenders.
Alabama's obviously had a lot of players leave. They're starting to get some of those back, some of the guys starting to reunite with DeBoer. Have they been hurt the most by the portal, or is it somebody else?
I'm going to have to say Alabama's probably been hurt the most, right? I know Arizona and Washington have had some guys leave, but, man, the Alabama roster is going to look a lot different this fall, and we'll see how it all comes together. And I guess we have the next 6 months to talk about it and try to figure out how that roster is going to be. And, I mean, if they win games and they look good, then no one's going to care. But if they don't look good and stuff, I think a lot of fingers will be pointed to the impact that Nick Saban's retirement has.
Julian Sayin goes to Ohio State. He's going to, have a competition there with Lincoln Kienholz and, of course, Aaron Noland. Where do the other quarterbacks stand with Julian Sayin going there? I know right now they say, they're there for the competition, but the fact that Ohio State went out and got him has to send a message through the quarterback room to anybody that's not Will Howard, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it sends a message that, hey, like, we want the best talent in the country in this room, and we're going to roll Will Howard this year, but obviously 2025, we want to have the most competitive quarterback competition in the country for the starting job. And yeah, I mean, Aaron Noland's great, but Julian Sayin is obviously the top quarterback prospect in the country for a reason. He's a Elite 11 MVP, throws a great ball, quick release, and him and Aaron Noland are going to duke it out now for the 2025 job.
Pete, when it comes to Alabama, how much of a seismic shift do you sense when it comes to recruiting nationally and just the type of dominoes that could fall now based on the fact that there's not this sure thing and Nick Saban down there? I mean, DeBoer and company are still going to do well, but what kind of an uphill battle do you see them fighting? What does DeBoer have to embrace to ensure they don't, fall off the cliff when it comes to competing with the Ohio States, the Michigans of the world in recruiting?
Yeah, I don't know if I have like the end-all answer, but what I will say is, right, like, having Nick Saban at Alabama has won a lot of recruiting battles the last 17 years, and especially for those 5-star kids. You look at someone like Caleb Downs or Julian Sayin, like we were just talking about, like both of those guys went to Alabama because they want to play for Saban. They want to play for the GOAT. And that's what made Alabama so great, guys. So, like, yeah, Kalen DeBoer, like, maybe his recruiting footprint will change or whatnot, but he's going to have to recruit the same talent, and they're not going to accept not getting 5-star talent. Obviously, he walks into a super tough situation, but the expectations are not going to change. Everyone's going to expect a national title in Tuscaloosa.
Was there a discount because he was at Alabama? Was there an NIL discount or that particular?
1,000%.
Okay.
That's 1,000%. I don't have every specific, but I can guarantee you guys that, yes, having Nick Saban as the head coach won a lot of recruiting battles, especially a couple where NIL may have been a big part of it.
So, in other words, players would take less to go play at Alabama because they would play for Saban.
Yes, and the pitch would be, hey, you might not get the most money up front at the moment, but you're going to go play for the best coach in the country. You're going to go play for the best program in the country. And when it all matters, at the end of the day, you're going to be a first-round draft pick, and then you'll get your money then.
Who do you think has done the best job of filling the power vacuum, so to speak, or is it spread around?
In terms of, like, scooping up the most talent?
Yeah.
I think it's Ohio State and Georgia, and then maybe a Texas. But, man, I think Texas has done a great job. I think Ohio State's done a great job. Georgia's had so much talent. I guess it's interesting to see now who that, like, number 4 team is, because I don't see Alabama really being in that mix again next season. So who emerges as, like, the 4th best team in the country? Is it an Oregon? Is it an Oklahoma? USC definitely needs to rebuild more than I think we all thought Lincoln Riley would at entering year 3. I know Michigan just won the national title, but they've lost a lot of guys in the NFL draft and what happens with Jim Harbaugh.
Pete, you mentioned the discount. Go play for Alabama, get the money later on, and you're also playing for the GOAT. How much of the timing of Saban retiring and Sarkisian recently had been on staff and recruited some of those players, not all, but some of them, how much of that do you think that also helped Texas?
Yeah, huge help to Texas, right? And not even the Steve Sarkisian connection, right? Pete Golding.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Ole Miss. But I think that's played a role too, guys. I think Pete Golding and Steve Sarkisian both having familiarity with that roster has really set Ole Miss and Texas up for success. And yeah, Steve Sarkisian knows a lot of the offensive guys, and you look at it, like Ole Miss landed Trey Amos, the defensive back from Alabama. Like, that doesn't happen without Pete Golding. So yeah, both those programs are really set up to succeed and to really tap into the Alabama pipeline that is the transfer portal right now.
So Ole Miss has hit the pedal to the floor in trying to win their first SEC title ever. You know, Walter Nolan, Princely, Umenlian from Florida, tons of guys in the portal. Have they done enough, or is it maybe a little bit of fool's gold?
No, I don't think it's fool's gold. I think they've done quite a bit. They're hosting like 2 or 3 offensive linemen this week, and I think landing a couple of those guys could really make a difference, right? They got Juice Wells. They got Jackson Dart at quarterback. They got a couple other guys coming back at wide receiver. They have all the pieces they need. They got Logan Diggs from LSU, the running back. So, yeah, need to beef up the offensive line a little bit more. I think that defense is going to be legit, guys, and I think they will be until I'm proven wrong. But, yeah, I mean, the secondary has a lot of talent. And what Walter Nolan can bring to a defensive line should not be undervalued.
Pete, I'm going to ask you this, and I appreciate your time. We do as a station and also a podcast. How many people have texted you since you came on with us that there's some news about a transfer?
I may have gotten one. It's been a little quiet today, but just when you think it's getting quiet, some school will unload like 4 guys into the portal.
There you go. That's why you're there. Thanks for your time, Pete. We appreciate it as always.
You bet. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.
Pete Nakos, on3sports.com. And again, kind of